Did you know that almost 1 in every 4 cars on the road today is hiding suspension problems that can cost drivers thousands of dollars in repairs each year? The worst part is, most people don't even realize it until it's too late. A week. Suspension isn't just expensive, can also put your safety at serious risk. But don't worry, because today I'll share 20 simple tricks that will keep your suspension strong, smooth, and safe. And trust me, tip number 20 alone could save you from ever paying those repair bills in the first place. Let's begin with one of the simplest moves that most drivers get completely wrong, and it's the reason their suspension keeps failing. Tip #1. Let your suspension breathe before the bump. What many drivers don't realize is that keeping your foot on the brake as you hit a pothole is like asking your suspension to take a punch with both hands tied behind its back. When you brake, your car's weight shifts forward sometimes by more than 1,000 pounds. That added pressure compresses the springs before the wheel even hits the pothole, leaving no room for the suspension to absorb the impact. Instead, the full force slams straight into the edge, and that's when the damage happens. Tests show that impact forces can spike to 40 or even 50 gigaseconds at the wheel hubby then at low speeds. That kind of force can bend rims, snap bushings, or knock out your AB sensors, sometimes all at once. Suddenly, one quick pothole tap has turned into a $600 repair bill. But here's the good news. There's an easy way to avoid all of it. Just release the brake a second before the bump. That tiny pause lets your suspension rebound so it can do the job it was designed for, absorbing the hit, not collapsing under it. Tip number 2. Replace your worn-out bump stops. This one's simple but often overlooked. A small rubber plug about the size of a film canister is the only thing standing between your suspension and a $1,000 disaster. When your car bottoms out, that bump stop takes the brunt of the weight. But if it's missing or falling apart, the force goes straight into your struts, control arms, or even the chassis. The problem is that bump stops usually rot away quietly after 60,000 to 80,000 miles, especially in places where roads are salted in winter. There's no warning light, just a dull thunk when you hit a dip or a strange clunk from the front end. Ignore it, and the next pothole could blow a strut seal or even mushroom the shock tower. The smart move: replace your bump stops whenever the struts are already out. The part costs as little as $10 to $30. And if you're already getting the struts replaced, the labor is basically free. Think of it as cheap insurance to protect $1,500 worth of suspension parts and to keep your ride smooth when the road gets rough. Tip number 3. Grease your suspension joints regularly. This tip doesn't involve a moving part, but when it fails, everything else suffers. Believe it or not, one tiny joint under your car could be the reason your wheel flies off at 40 miles per hour. And most of the time, it happens because the joint dried out, not from age, but simply because owners skipped a 2-minute habit. During oil changes, ball joints and tie rods are what hold your wheels in line, but they live under constant stress. Without grease, they wear down fast, and once they fail, the consequences can be catastrophic. Suspension joints sit just inches from the road, constantly taking hits from water, grit, and road salt that eat away at their seals. Once the protective boot cracks, dirt sneaks in and turns old grease into a gritty paste that grinds metal against metal. And when that happens, failure isn't far behind. But here's the good news. If your car has serviceable joints with small metal fittings called zerks, a simple $20 grease gun can become your best defense. One quick shot of fresh grease flushes out the contaminants and restores protection. It's a small habit that professional fleets swear by, and the reason many trucks easily reach 200,000 miles on their original suspension. Before we move on, don't forget to hit subscribe, because the real secret to saving money is knowing how to prevent problems before they start That's exactly what we share here every day. Tip. #4. Missed your suspension before winter. Every winter, road salt eats through suspension parts, like termites chewing through wood. And it's not just surface rust. Springs can snap, bolts can seize, and control arms can silently rot away. A single $10 bolt can easily turn into an $1,800 nightmare once it breaks. In fact, research shows that corrosion-related suspension failures cost U.S. drivers around $3 billion every year. And today, it's even worse. Because road crews often spray salty brine before the first snowflake falls, meaning even drivers in warmer states aren't safe. The fix is quick and cheap. Once a year, ideally in the fall, spray your coil springs, bolts, and control arms with a rust inhibitor like fluid film or WD-40's corrosion spray. These lanolin-based coatings creep into seams, repel water, and stay tacky all winter long. It takes 10 minutes, costs less than a lunch, and can save you from the worst kind of repair, the kind you never see coming until the part fails. Tip #1. Protect your rubber before it cracks your wallet. That little squeak from a control arm bushing may sound harmless, but it can turn into a $900 repair if ignored. Most people forget that rubber is the silent backbone of suspension systems. Bushings, CV boots, sway bar links, and steering seals all rely on it. But rubber wears out faster than you think. Heat, ozone, winter salt, and even UV rays from parking outside slowly dry it out until it hardens and fails. That's how a $10 bushing ends up destroying a $500 steering rack, or worse, sending your car rolling if the wrong part gives out. The good news is, you can fight back. A few times a year, wipe exposed rubber with a rubber-safe plasticizer. Not oil, not WD-40, but something designed for the job. Like a T205, it seeps into the material and reverses damage from heat, ozone, and salt. Do this in spring and fall, and you can easily double the lifespan of parts most shops are happy to charge you. $700 to $1,200 to replace. Tip #6. Check your ride height. This one's overlooked by almost everyone. With time, springs sag, and you lose height little by little. Even half an inch of drop can throw off your alignment, wear your tires unevenly, and pull your steering out of line. Most drivers don't catch it until they're already buying a new set of tires. Alignment shops know the numbers. For every inch your car sags, your camber shifts nearly 1 full degree. That's enough to shred the inside edge of your tires in as little as 5,000 miles. And once that tread is gone, there's no repairing it. So here's the smart move once a season. Measure from the center of your wheel up to the fender arch and write the numbers down. That way, you'll catch a sag early, before it eats through your tires and your wallet. If one corner of your car drops more than a quarter inch, or if one side starts leaning, your springs are waving a red flag. It's a 2-minute check that can save you hundreds in tire costs and a whole lot of regret. Now imagine that same hidden wear showing up at 70 miles per hour on a part you haven't replaced in years. That's when it gets dangerous. Tip #7. Replace your shocks before they beg for it. Most drivers wait too long to change their shocks because worn ones don't scream, they whisper. You simply get used to the floaty ride, the nosedive under braking, or that slight tire bounce. But by 50,000 to 60,000 miles, those tired struts can silently add 25 feet to your stopping distance. That's an entire car length you no longer have in an emergency. Even worse, worn shocks confuse your safety systems. ABS and stability control rely on grip, and if your tires lift off the ground for even a split second after a bump, those systems stop working properly. The result: sketchy braking, vague steering, uneven tire wear, and eventually a $2,000 repair bill that starts with cup tires and ends with busted bushings. The smart move: Don't wait for leaks or clunks. Proactively replace all 4 dampers around 60,000 miles, just like many shops in Europe already recommend. It's like hitting the reset button, restoring that tight, confident day one feel to your car while protecting everything underneath. Tip: #8. Tighten bolts with the car on the ground. Here's something few people realize. If a mechanic tightens your suspension bolts while the wheels are dangling in the air, your car could already be damaging itself before it even leaves the shop. That's because rubber bushings are designed to flex from a relaxed, neutral position at ride height. Tighten them with no weight on the car, and the rubber twists into place. The moment you drive, every bump stretches it further, starts squeaking, wears out quickly, and even throws off your alignment. In some cases, the car may sit higher on one corner because the twisted rubber pushes back like a spring. The fix is simple. Always torque suspension bolts like those in control arms or trailing arms after the car is back on the ground or supported at normal ride height. It's a 10-minute habit that can double the life of your bushings. Save your tires and keep your steering sharp for years. Tip number 9. Support the suspension during long-term storage. If your car is going to sit for weeks or worse, an entire winter the way you store it can quietly destroy hundreds of dollars in suspension parts. Most people jack the car up and let the wheels hang, but that stretches the suspension bushings in a way they were never meant to handle long-term. Remember, bushings are made of bonded rubber, not ball bearings. They're designed to flex only, a little at a time. Let them sit stretched for months, and the tension starts cracking the rubber from the inside out. It's like pulling a rubber band and leaving it stretched until it crumbles. The better way: place blocks under the control arms or axles so the suspension rests in its natural ride height, just as if the car were parked on the road. Museums and professional fleets do this because they've seen firsthand what happens when you dance TAT tip. #10. Ditch the rubber band tires before they wreck everything. Big rims and low-profile tires might look sharp in photos, but on the road, they punish your suspension with every mile. That thin slice of sidewall used to be your car's first line of defense. Without it, every pothole sends a direct punch into your shocks, bushings, and wheel bearings. The extra weight from oversized wheels only makes it worse siding strain. To your struts, bending your alignment angles, and cutting bearing life in half. Shops see it constantly. Shocks leaking fluid at just 40,000 miles. Cracked bushings and bearings groaning under the abuse. And when one of those parts gives out, you don't just lose money, you lose control. The solution is simple. Stick with wheel and tire sizes close to factory specs. If you love the bigger look, at least choose forged wheels and keep your sidewalls above 45 series. You'll get smoother rides, longer-lasting parts, and avoid the hidden $5,000 fashion tax that comes with those flashy spokes. Tip: #11. Always replace suspension parts in pairs. Swapping just one shock, strut, or spring might feel like a money saver, but it creates a mismatched ride that wears out faster and costs more in the long run. A brand new damper is firm, responsive, and taller, while the old one beside it is saggy, soft, and slow to react. That imbalance throws your car off, leading to drifting, uneven bouncing, and tires that start cupping after only a few thousand miles. Worse, the new part ends up doing double duty, working harder than it should, which makes it overheat and fail within a year. Drivers who try the one-side-only shortcut almost always come back to replace the other side, and by then, they've usually lost a set of tires too. Shop data shows that replacing both sides at once actually costs less over 3 years than spacing them out. So when it's time for suspension work, replace in pairs. Your handling will feel balanced, your tires will last longer, and your new parts won't burn out before their time. Tip number 12. Fix the small leaks before they melt your suspension. Here's a sneaky one. Many mystery clunks under a car aren't from broken parts at all, they're from tiny fluid leaks. A drip of engine oil, power steering fluid, or transmission fluid is enough to soak into rubber bushings and turn them to mush. And this doesn't take years, it can happen in weeks. With the added heat from the engine bay, a $12 hose leak can quickly ruin bushings worth hundreds, making wheels shift, tires scrub, and even braking feel unpredictable. By the time you hear the clunk, it's already too late. The smart move is to deal with leaks early. Fix the source, then flush off any old fluid with brake cleaner and wipe down the suspension arms every oil change. Think of it as rust-proofing for your suspension. It's a simple habit that protects dozens of expensive parts underneath. Smart drivers don't wait for noises. They stop the damage before it starts. Tip number 13. Don't crank the wheel all the way. You know that noise you hear when you turn the steering wheel all the way until it locks? That faint clunk or humming sound. Y'all don't do that. Modern axles rely on constant velocity joints, which are designed to be smooth only within their normal range. When you force the wheel to full lock, you're pushing the joint past its comfort zone. Inside, the parts scrape and overheat, while the rubber boot stretches to its limit. In cold weather, it's even worse. Rubber becomes brittle, and one sharp turn in a parking lot can split the boot wide open. Once it tears, grease sprays out, dirt sneaks in, and the joint begins grinding itself to death. And for what, an extra inch of turning radius? Instead, ease off just a little. Back the wheel one spoke short of full lock. That tiny habit relieves stress, protects the joint, and can save you up to $2,000 in axle and sensor repairs. It's effortless, and it works. Tip number 14. Touch up chipped spring paint. It might sound like a small detail, but leaving bare metal exposed on a coil spring is one of the fastest ways to destroy it. A single paint chip gives salt and moisture the opening they need. Rust takes hold, eats into the wire, and over time snap. And when a spring breaks, it doesn't just sag. In more than half of cases, the sharp end jabs straight into the tire. That's not just theory, and HTSA tracks real-world tire blowouts caused by fractured springs every year. Especially in states that use heavy road salt, the fix is cheap and simple. If you notice chipped paint or surface rust, clean it up. Apply a rust converter and brush on a coat of flexible paint. For extra protection, add a sleeve over the bottom coils. Hyundai actually recalled cars to do this exact thing. It's a $10 habit that can save you from a $400 spring replacement, and whatever that shredded tire would have cost. One quick touch-up today means no tow truck tomorrow. Tip 15. Take your car for a short drive every month. Letting a car sit for weeks at a time may seem harmless, but suspension parts hate it. Bushings left squished in one position start to dry out and lose flexibility. Springs sag unevenly. Shock seals harden and begin to leak. Even cars with low mileage can show signs of rear-end droop, squeaky joints, or oil-misted strutsole. Just from sitting still too long, mechanics see it every spring. One damper leaking, a ride that feels off, and repairs that end up costing more than a full brake job. The solution is simple. Take your car for a 10 to 15-minute drive at least once a month. That short trip flexes every joint, keeps seals lubricated, evens out coil tension, and exposes small leaks before they turn into expensive failures. Just idling in the driveway doesn't count. Your burn needs movement, not heat. A quick spin now can mean far fewer surprises when you finally bring the car back into regular use. Tip number P. Replace end links before they start talking. If you ever hear a clunk over small bumps, chances are it's your sway bar end links sending a warning. We're done. And by the time you hear that sound, the damage has already begun. Those little links connect your suspension to the anti-roll bar. Once they wear out, even slightly, every pothole impact transfers straight into your strut mounts and frame brackets. What should have been a $160 fix can easily spiral into a $700 headache. Most end links wear out between 70,000 and 90,000 miles, and even sooner in salted climates. The problem is that drivers often misdiagnose the noise, replacing shocks or mounts while the clunk keeps coming back. The smarter move is to replace both end links at the same time, ideally before they fail completely. Go with greasable aftermarket. Once torque them with the suspension loaded, and you're set. It's one of those parts nobody mentions until it quietly wrecks everything around it. Tip #17. Clear your cowl drains twice a year. Believe it or not, a single leaf in the wrong place can ruin your suspension. Modern cars channel rainwater through hidden drains around the windshield and sunroof. When those drains clog, water collects right on top of your strut towers. And that's not just messy, it's expensive. Moisture seeps past flimsy caps and sits on one of the most stressed points in your suspension. The result? Rusted bearings, collapsed mounts, and sway bar links that wear out twice as fast. Shops see this all the time, with repair bills that climb into the thousands. Some drivers even get quoted $5,000 for strut tower rot that all started from a clogged drain. The fix: 5 minutes, a piece of weed whacker line, and a little attention. Clear those drains every spring and fall before leaves and pollen harden into cement. Smart drivers handle this before they ever hear a rattle or see a rust stain and their suspension. And wallets thank them for it. Tip number 18. Warm up your tires gently. That dull thump you feel on a cold morning when you hit a bump. Your tires acting like blocks of wood and your suspension taking the hit instead. Below 40 degrees, rubber stiffens and stops absorbing energy the way it should. Every crack and pothole transfers straight into your control arms, bushings, and ball joints, metal slamming against metal. Over time, that punishment adds up. The fix costs nothing. Drive gently for the first 3 to 5 minutes on cold mornings. No sharp turns, no harsh bumps. This quick warm-up lets your tires regain their flex, spreads out impact loads more evenly, and even smooths out steering vibrations. Bonus, it protects the tires themselves. Cold rubber plus low air pressure causes inner edge wear and flat spots. 2 issues that eat, tread life, and ruin ride quality fast. Think of tires like muscles. Give them 5 minutes to stretch, and your suspension will reward you with years of smoother driving. Tip number 19. Always check after a big hit. Sometimes it only takes one pothole to start a chain reaction of damage. A single impact can knock your alignment out of spec, bruise a strut seal, or crack a spring that silently chews through your tire. Weeks later, studies show that 1 in 10 drivers ends up with repairs after just one major hit, averaging about $600 per incident. The tricky part: you often won't notice anything right away. A spring can chip, rust, and snap days later. A bent arm might only reveal itself when your tire begins wearing unevenly or your steering wheel drifts slightly off-center. That's why smart drivers take 5 minutes to check after every major impact. Pop the hood or slide underneath with a flashlight. Look for strut fluid leaks, hairline cracks and coil springs, or a corner of the car sitting lower than the rest. Catching the problem early can stop a $200 issue from snowballing into a $2,000 repair. You're not just inspecting for damage, you're intercepting it before it multiplies. Skip this simple step, and your next blowout could come from damage. That happened last week. Tip number 20. Check your VIN for free fixes. Here's the one habit that can wipe out your repair bills entirely. Every year, thousands of drivers pay out of pocket for suspension repairs they could have had fixed for free, all because they never checked their VIN. One Ford Explorer owner, for example, shelled out $1,800 to replace snapped toe links, while another typed their VIN into NHTSA's recall tool during a coffee break and got the same repair done for $0. Recalls cover serious safety issues like cracked control arms, rusted springs, or broken suspension links. But the real hidden gems are Technical Service Bulletins, TSBs. These cover common problems like squeaks, clunks, or unusual tire wear before they snowball into costly jobs. Think of a $400 stabilizer bushing replacement done under warranty. Because the driver mentioned the right bulletin code, it takes less than a minute. Just enter your VIN on your automaker's website or at nhtsa.gov every few months. What you find there could save you hundreds of dollars, or more importantly, prevent your wheels from pointing themselves in the wrong direction on the highway.